Uh-oh, now what? You may have noticed this lurking in the background, an addition under a cover. Yes, I picked it up a while ago, and I have to say it's a sorrowful state. No brakes. Everything is in horrible condition. It doesn't even run. I'm assured it will run if I clean the fuel tank out of the old nasty fuel and I put in a battery. I flick a hidden switch under the seat because there's no key. It'll all fire up. That remains to be seen. Yes, indeedy, horrible. Can you tell what it is? It's a Yamaha R6, or used to be. Possibly the most ambitious project yet. It does have a brand new back tyre and a brand new fancy LED headlight, which I probably won't be using. Other than that, it's yeah, pretty upside down. Knowing me, I shall probably start stripping a few little bits off, but the first priority is to clean out that fuel tank, get a battery, and see if it fires up. Perfect. Alright, it's getting a little crowded in here, and as you can see, I started the R6 project while still finishing the Monster, but I didn't want to distract you guys at the time, and yeah, still haven't had that bloody water heater fitted either. So yes, where to start? Well, like I said, I think we need to do the bare minimum to see if it does actually run, which involves draining this tank because it's been sat for like, I don't know, months, maybe a year. And obviously getting a new battery, so I think we're going to be throwing that out. I don't know, maybe that seat will work as a seat, who knows. There's the other seat. Yeah, it's massive. Look at that, huge. Anyway, step one, yep, take the fuel tank off. Pretty bike actually, the R6, the R1s, all pretty bikes and super quick. I mean, yeah. In fact, the man that's going to install the water heater had an R1 for a few days before he sold it because he knew he was going to kill himself. Sensible guy. Anyway, yeah, where do we start? I'm going to strip some other shit off as well that is just horrible, like that. What's that doing? Why did you leave that on? Tear down time, we love it. Neat security device. Did I mention there was no key? So this is the switch underneath the seat. Glad I located that. What seat? Seems to be a common thing around here, lack of seats. Anyway, it's horrible, so I'm throwing it away. I don't understand why people put these on. You know, I mean, if you're going to drop it, it's going to get damaged. And it seems to be after the horse is bolted, because the bolt that's holding it in is scraped to shit. Anyway, a bit like putting stabilizers on a race bike. And yeah, that looks like that's been bent up as well. So, meantime, there's the water coolant overflow bottle. I think we can find a better place for that. It's the Yamasaki Suki. In a fairly gentle attempt to remove the completely bollocksed reservoir, it actually snaps the tube. Again, it's just Arizona heat and plastic, man. It just melts and brittle and ugh. Okay, that's problematic. That said, obviously I'm going to be replacing all the switches, and I was thinking of doing something better than that. So maybe I'll just put a completely different brake reservoir and fitting on there. Not split it at the handlebars into the two calipers, but tee it off like it does on the Ducati and the Augusta. Seen some crappy headlight mounts in my time, including some of my own. But this could possibly take the biscuit along with that BMW that I didn't buy. Again, you know, nice light. Yeah, sat in Phoenix temperatures, 100 to 120 plus, 6 months of the year. Totally bollocks. Revealing an interesting earth going nowhere. Drop the tray from under the seat, which reveals all kinds of stuff. Mainly ECU here, was there. Various relays dotted around the place, now dangling. And yeah, that and make your boys switch instead of a key. So that'll help me somehow. Quite sure how at this time, but guts and entrails, it's all hanging out. And pillion seat, perfect. Yes. Anyway, I think that's enough for one day, because that's not all I've been doing today. Done 2 bloody video edits and yeah. Next is the fuel tank, because that's what we need to get off and clean. Never cleaned a fuel tank before. Actually, that's not true. If you've been watching any of my other videos, you'll know that we had to empty the fuel tank of the Nissan 24 Hours of Lemons race car in the paddock at Laguna Seca. Was it Laguna Seca? Yeah, I think it was. Because silicone sealant got in the fuel system. We didn't clean it though, we just emptied it and took out all the shit and filled it up again. Finished the race. Gotta say, this is one of the most daunting projects yet. Yeah, mainly because I don't even know if it runs. Managed to unplug this, which couldn't do on Saturday night, and yeah, so the case itself is pretty horrible, but you can just buy the cases, and yeah, the dial's all right. I know I'm not going for a radical speedo again. Could be complicated if it did, and it's not so bad, you know. Honestly, a lot of the speedos that you can buy, unless you want to spend a lot of money, are pretty crap, really. And this one's got those funky lights that light up when you're hitting the red line. So, yeah. Triumph has got those that light them. It's the fun meter. Anyway, looks like we've got another monstrosity of an airbox, so that's going to be fun. And yes, we have the tank off. Well, I haven't disconnected it yet. So, we're going to come to that in a minute. Labelled those electrical connectors. W for, yeah, white, and G for green. And managed to get this boy off, which I think is the line out. Little bit of fuel in there, but nothing spectacular. Loosened off the clamp on the, what I hope is the return, and maybe it's not. And there's no obvious way to release that. This had quick release doofer. Yeah, little buttons that you pressed in. It was a bit sticky, as you can imagine, after sitting for a year. But this boy, I don't know, honestly. I think I'm just going to have to wriggle it off and see what happens. I guess I could Google it. Yep, just pulled off nice and easy, and nothing pissing out, so that's good. And these fuel lines look in actually remarkably good condition, seeing as the rest of the bike ain't. Compared to the Ducati, very impressive. Really like Mr. Yamakaki's pipes, better quality. Okay, let's see what's in there. Yes, seen cleaner. Whole bunch of pipes leading into that airbox. Your standard oil breather. And these are or where they go. So I'll have to check that out. And this baby, I'm thinking that's your air pressure doofer. Although, I don't know. But it was just kind of stuck in there. So there we have. Yeah, they're interesting. No butterflies here. Cool. Better cover those up. Yep, I think we'll be going the same route as the Monster. None of that airbox rubbish. Well, there's no ram air on it. And there's these lovely bloody holes that we could probably get some forced air in if we get all this electric shit out of the way. Which I think we can. No idea what that is. Looks superfluous to me. Yep, random bit of plastic. These two come off the edge of the air intake. See, under there, around that. Yep. Yeah. So that's interesting. Better find out what that's all about. Now we have to trace where this one goes. It disappears down the rabbit hole. Got rid of that nasty coolant overflow tank, and just making a note of that. Nice little rubber mount there, which again, amazingly good condition for the climate. So very impressed with the Japanese rubber. Yeah, missing that side obviously, but might be a good thing to get two of for the fuel tank mounting. So I know, you know, while most of what I've done has been Italian bikes, and that's because I have a passion for Italian motorcycles, but it wasn't always that way, and Yamaha takes me back many years ago. The ripe age of 16, I was on the road, as were most kids that were motorcycle orientated, with a Yamaha Fizzy, yes, an FS1E, quickest little moped out there. Here it is, fantastic. Most of my mates then progressed to the Hairy Larry RD range, whether it was a 200 or a 250, and I didn't. I went for an RS 125. It's a long story. I think RS stands for really slow. But there was a deal involved with my grandfather, so there's another program out there about my vehicles in the UK, and if you want to hear about that, it's in there. So yeah, going back to my roots. Anyway, back to the piping, and yes, that one goes down the front somewhere, so I think I'm gonna have to wait until I take the whole radiator off and see where that ends up. And I don't really want to do that until I've test started. Meantime, I shall probably carry on just stripping bits of crap off, and get some stuff to clean the tank out and put it back on, and who knows, it might be this episode, it might be the next. So yeah, brake fluid wise, obviously the front there was none, and in the rear reservoir there's just about covering the very bottom of the intake, and it looks like marmalade, so I think I shall be cleaning and flushing the brake lines too. Talking of which, you may remember I broke this off that year, and they're quite expensive if you go for the original Yamaha, but I'm not going to. I think I found that whole kind of unit, clamps around the handlebars with the lever, everything else, lever for the other side, cable for the clutch. Interestingly, yeah, not hydraulic clutch, and yeah, I think it was about $35, and that's a bargain. I mean, I don't think I really need Lord of the Rings type handlebars. Yes, what's the other one? Oh, I forget now. Dungeons and Dragons, whatever it was. Plus, you know, I don't know what he was thinking really, because a whole new ignition key set, the whole unit. It's like $30. I mean, the switch was probably 10. Although I do quite like the idea of keyless entry, or exit, as in this case. As I'm going through, I'm just looking at aesthetics as well at the same time, and there's these beautiful sculpted holes in the frame, and of course this is very functional because all the electrics go through it, but it ruins that kind of sculpture. And I guess this was all covered up by a fairing, obviously, so nobody would see it anyway. But the fact that that is there is rather a beautiful piece. I wonder if I can take them underneath and maybe drop the radiator down a little just to allow for the electrics. And it's the same story the other side. Over here, this hole is just rammed full of electrical bullshit. I wonder if I can maneuver that somewhere else. So this piece was covering up a multitude of sins, and despite all the obvious fittings, no screws holding it in whatsoever, or bolts. So there we go. We can see what's going on a lot better. Well, I can, because I've got more light than you have. Yeah. So that's good. So yeah, definitely scope for rerouting some of this wiring. There's plenty of loom available, and connectors and doofers, and yeah. And then interestingly, this boy comes up into this very complicated looking thingamajig. I think that's a thingamajig. You can Google that as well. I'm going to. And that seems to go down here. Yeah, so that pipe then goes off down here and ends up kind of going into the cylinder head, I guess. More oil breathers? Don't know. There's another horrible plasticky bit covering it up, which I'll probably just tear out. Yeah, so all that shit comes down here, and then yeah, I mean, look, there's a bloody great hole there already above the radiator. So I'm going to pull all that through the middle and then leave these beautifully empty. Maybe put a grill in there. Nice. It's coming along in my head. I mean, you could see inside my head. Actually, no, you don't want to. Well, I think that's about it for now. How'd you feel? Gutted. Screw it. I got the angle grinder out for the battery on the Bel Air, so what the hell. No sparks. Yeah, that's looking proper already. Even with the pillion seat. I might use that. Don't laugh just too soon. Yeah. Gutted. And on that note, let's call it a day, and let's do it again. Yeah. So, as usual, thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in. Do subscribe if you haven't already. There's plenty going on and plenty more madness to be seen. So, encourage others to watch my lunacy.